Chimwemwe to Podcast with Magnoni.
Thanks, Mike. And it's an honor to be here.
It's an honor to be here.
Yes.
Okay, you gotta grab the mic.
Right. Yes, it has to be close. I think with COVID.
You were Zodiac.
Yes.
So,
yes. I know. It has
you've been a presenter?
Yeah, partially, but not like on air. I've done my reports, morning magazine program, especially Sundays. Wow. I was mainly doing the archives segment I've done it I think for 3 years. So yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. So a guest has been doing radio for some time.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be interesting because I think probably I might learn a few things here.
Right.
But I'm excited to have him. So Chimwemwe, I think the story that you have. I've followed you on social media.
Right.
And I've known you a while ago, a few years ago when I was in Nzuzu.
Yes.
So in Nzuzu, I left Nzuzu in 2017.
Right.
February.
Yeah.
So I assume we knew each other in 2016 or 2015.
Around that time, yes.
Yeah. I just want to know more. I know people have access to your social media, but some may not have seen you or heard about your story.
Right.
So let's break it down.
Okay.
I'm interested with where you coming from.
Okay. I think I'll start originally from where I was born. I was born in Blantyre.
Oh, okay.
Blantyre, Malawi, and I've been in Blantyre all my life. I think I mainly came to Lilongwe for work, but all my life has been in Blantyre. I was born in Mandala to a father and mother, as suspected to be. And then that time we're living in Mandala, my dad was working. My mother was also working at that particular time. Yeah. So then my father passed away in 1992. So at that time I was around 3. And that also meant that a lot of things had to change. Yeah. My mother made a wise decision of leaving rentals, and then we had to move to Chirimba, where she bought some land from there. Okay. So it was a very huge adjustment because the house that we went to, the one we left had electricity. The one we went to didn't have electricity. Wow. The one we had rentals, there was running water board. The other one we went to were using borehole. And that I think has been the case for up until somewhere around 2002, 2003 or thereabout. Yeah. The house, like I said, didn't have electricity, didn't have water. It was a small 3-bedroom house. But I think to call it a 3-bedroom house is just being decent. Let's just say that it was, I think, a house that was doing the job of keeping us in the house.
Inside there,
And then later on, my mom built another house. So it was basically just a place where we can go and stay and then move to there. In terms of primary school, I did it in several schools. And I think the time that I started doing my school was a time when everybody who felt like they had a house that they would turn into a school, to a school around that particular time. So I did my primary school at several schools. I'll start with my kindergarten was in Chilomoni, Blantyre. Then when he moved from Chilomoni, he came to Chirimba. I think the first school that we went to was Darab. We're still doing Darab. Darab is in Namwa, Blantyre. But since it was too far from Chirimba, so I think we only did 1 term from there. Then moved from there, went to Mwalandidu. You can already hear the names. Mwalandidu, it was Bismillahi that time, which changed to Mwalandidu. That also told you that previously it was owned by Muslims, and then somehow it got owned by the Assemblies of God Church. How that happened, I don't know. And then later we moved to Ziwani, and I can't remember what the other school was. Went to Rose Garden, and then from Rose Garden, I think that's when
Rose Garden is a school.
Yes, Rose Garden is a school.
Because I think I did my wedding at Rose Garden.
Yeah, there's Rose Garden.
In Area 47.
There's Rose Garden. It's a school.
Crazy. Nice.
Yeah, and then I wrote my PLSE. So from there, that's when I went to Michiru View Secondary School. Yeah. And at Michiru View Secondary School, I think that's where I did all my secondary school. I did my secondary school in 5 years, not 4 years. Because I repeated Form 1. Very short story. I was very playful in Form 1. I know if you asked me this like a couple of years ago, I would have given you a very funny story. But no, I was just very playful in Form 1. I was a kid. Yeah. I was literally a kid. people do their primary school in 6 or 7 or 8 years. I did mine in 5.5. So, so the time that I was getting into secondary school, I was pretty young. My uniform was usually dirty from playing and stuff. So I was not taking school seriously. So I ended up repeating Form 1.
Were you a kid like who used to play football every time after school?
Exactly.
You go straight to
yes. That was me. I used to play football quite a lot.
I think football was everybody's game,
right? Yeah,
at some point in time.
At some point, yeah. So it was football from school straight home, change uniform, and then go play football, or you just go straight play football, and then you go back home with dirty uniform, which you still have to wear the next day. I didn't really study. I didn't really see the reason why people studied. I felt that I was a gifted person. Like I said, I did my primary school in a short time, and I could handle the primary material quite well. And I think that I was kind of bulletproof, but life humbled me, which is great. My mom was the one who said you're going to repeat Form 1, and I had the decision of deciding whether I can go with that particular direction or not. But I felt that there was a need for me to repeat in Form 1, and that's where I feel I started now taking a bit of a serious look at my life after I repeated Form 1. You know, when you're going back to repeat at the same school, it humbles you.
It does. I've never passed through that experience, but I think it would.
It does. Because number one, the people that you're in the same class with are in the same school and a class ahead. Everybody knows about it. And even the people that you're going to be in class with, eventually they'll get to know that you're repeating Form 1. And so I decided that I'm going to be a different student. Did my Form 2, didn't really get the best grades again. I looked at the grades that I got and I asked myself, I think if I'm not applying myself as much and I'm able to get C's and a D, what would happen
if I work hard?
If I worked hard. So I went into Form 3 driven, and I remember there was one test, I keep talking about it, it was a biology test, and I had a friend of mine, Dominic Mlumbe. We're sitting on the same desk. He got a 98% in that particular test.
Okay.
I got a 28%. Same test.
Wow.
Best friends sitting on the same desk. But it also started to teach me that, you know what, if this person is able to get a 98% and you're able to get a 29, if you can do something about it, I think you can improve. So I started realizing that my first weakness was, number one, I wasn't asking questions in school. I needed to start making that particular noise, raising my hand, asking questions. The second one was I have to be in groups. I joined groups. Number 3, I started teaching fellow students. I learned it later that if you want to have information cemented in you, just teach
other people. It becomes your information.
It becomes your information. So I was teaching fellow students and stuff. And by the time I was finishing Form 4, I got a 2 in biology, which I got a 9 in Form 3.
That can tell.
So that was basically about it. Then from there, I applied to the University of Malawi because I got 18 points. And I had 3 distinctions in mathematics, accounts, and biology. So I was driven towards mathematics, science-related subjects. So even when I was applying, I was going in that particular direction. I didn't get into the University of Malawi.
Okay, let's leave it there. You didn't get into the University of Malawi. And that's a story for so many young people in Malawi. Because getting to the university in Malawi is, specifically the public universities, is not easy, right? You have a lot of competition. You're talking of, usually the intake that time, you were talking of maybe 2,000 that they're looking for. But people that would usually apply for those would be around 40,000, something like that. So you're looking, it's a bad ratio. But I want to go back to your story because of having one parent. This is one of the things that most people would not understand if probably they have all the parents. But when you have a parent and only a mother in that context, the story is different in how you look at upbringing as a boy. How did that feel? How did you feel rather at that particular time as you grew with your mom?
Okay, so I think one thing that my mom did was to, I don't know how to put it, I'm trying to find a better way, but my mom decided that she's going to be both a mom and a dad.
Yeah.
I don't even know how she figured that out, but she was able to crack it. That she was able to give us the support that we could get from a dad, and she was also able to give us support that we could get from a mom. So my mom was a disciplinarian. She didn't have time for such matter. No. We were 5 in our family, right? We're still 5. And that meant that all of us have to be educated. She was the one that was handling that bit. She was working with the bank at that particular time. She was just a clerk with National Bank. The amount of money she was gauging and the responsibilities that she had, they didn't match.
Yeah.
How all of us ended up getting an education, only God knows.
Yeah, that's a story. That's a story that most people have, right? Where you don't have a dad and you have a mother who would work hard. And I applaud mothers during this period, the 90s, the 80s, who would take up these responsibilities and really fight. Exactly. You know, it's usually painful to see. It's not like people are not trying their best now, but I've seen scenarios where people they fight for just being relevant in other quarters, but they don't take care of their kids. Right. But I've seen mothers specifically in this era, and most of the people that I've spoken to that I know are coming from like a single parent household. You see that mothers play a huge role, specifically if they are alone. When a family that is run by dads, most of the times that dad will always end up marrying another woman, and then you have this whole drama of a stepmom. But scenarios of women of that age, because my mom also come from that space where my dad died when I was very little, and then you have this whole huge support that is covered by a mom when you grow up, something like that. Exactly. How do you look at women because of that experience?
Wow, I think that's a very big question. For me, I think it starts with understanding capabilities. My mom did not really have time to prepare to be a mom and a dad. Right? My father passed away and she had to step in. It was as simple as that. It wasn't really like there was an audition, time for preparation. No, you know. And the time that my father passed away, I was 3 years old. My younger brother was months old. Wow. So many people know my younger brother, Trigger Beats, was months old.
Yeah. We'll talk about Trigger.
Yeah. My younger brother was months old. My elder brother was 5 years old. And then they were the other two. So Prince and Preston, the first and second born, they were, I think, getting into their senior primary school at that particular time. Propi was 5, so I think getting kind of primary school. I was at home, and then there was the little one. So this whole juggling of the whole situation she wasn't really ready for it. Secondly, one thing that she told us later on, my mom, was, because we were asking, I mean, you have been with us all this time. Why didn't you decide to remarry? Because I mean, you had that option. And she said that when my father was about to pass away, one of the discussions they had was she made a promise that she doesn't want any other man in my mother's life, not necessarily for him, but she wanted us to grow up in a normal family. And she didn't want us to go through the drama that sometimes comes with having a stepfather and everything. And it was up to my mother to either own up to that or not.
The promise, people break promises every day. She could have chosen to say, no, I will go.
You know, I'll go this particular direction and everything. And again, like I said, it's the 5 of us. Having multiple income from a husband and a wife, it helps.
It helps. It helps.
But she decided that I'm going to be alone. I'll find ways of ensuring that these kids are well taken care of. And it did. There was not even a single day that we slept without food. And again, like I say, she was also doing the construction of the house.
Nah, that's too much, man. That's too much. And you're looking at the time. You're talking about being a clerk in the bank.
Right.
That's the 7:30 to 5 kind of experience.
And then also, she was a very devoted member of the Catholic Church. So on Saturday and Sunday, she would also spend time supporting church-related activities. So how she was able to find time to do all these things, it's one thing that now I keep asking myself, okay, Monday to Friday you were going to work, you National Bank, you're a banker, you don't really have time for time. Like the way we do. I mean, we sneak out. We do stuff,
you can't in the bank. You get like
you know. And again, also understand that she didn't have a car, she was getting a minibus, which means it's a minibus, bank, lunch, minibus again, and back.
Yeah.
But she was able to find ways of hustling and everything, and like I said, here we are.
Yeah, but you see, women are strong. I'm a huge advocate of trusting women with responsibilities, because women can take care. This is one of the example of a woman taking care of an entire family of 5 children and making sure that they are able to go to school to learn, and then they're able even to be in line.
Exactly.
Because that's another thing, to be counseled in a way that you don't get outside of the line and you get lost. Yeah. That's huge. So power to the women and other things. Exactly. So in this podcast we promote women. I make sure.
But for me, I feel like it's quite unnecessary to be promoting women. And I'll say this because people just have to open their eyes to the reality. If you have a woman in your life, it might be your wife, it might be your mother, it might be your friend, it might be your boss. If you just open your eyes and see things, it's straightforward.
It is straightforward. It's just, I don't know sometimes how patriarchal works, where people forget the reality that they are being taken care of by a woman all their life.
Exactly.
And they're there by virtue of a woman who sacrificed a number of things. And then later on they trash all the women and then say that they don't have ideas and stuff.
It's human nature. I think it's lack of common sense, it's lack of empathy, and it's just not paying attention to what's there. I mean, you're a father, I'm a father, I know what my wife does to ensure that Ryan is taken care of. I saw how my mother-in-law was able to step in at that particular. And the thing is, there's a lot of important work that happens behind the scenes for a person to be prepared to be in the office. Yeah, so many people involved. For me, much of life happens outside of the 9 to 5. If I see Maki happy at the office, it's because of what happened outside of the office.
There's a lot of external factors that contribute to that.
So if the fact that Maki is a country director or is a president, and then I start to feel like he's a superhuman without acknowledging the women in his life, I think I'm just not paying attention.
Yeah, and that talks about the superheroes we have. We always talk about the male figures that do stuff, but we forget about the women who prepare them. The greatest fighter. What about the women who prepared for the person to be ready? And everyone else, the president. The president.
I mean, it's like I said, it's common sense.
It's common sense. I understand your argument. You don't understand. You don't feel like you don't have to fight because it's obvious you have to.
You have to. It's there.
It's quite unfortunate that doesn't happen. And people now tend to start having conversation about that.
And you know the funny thing for me is still on the same. I've had the privilege of having bosses that are female. And I call it a privilege. For some, they call it a curse. I call it a privilege for a reason, because there is having a theoretical idea of what a female boss can be, and there's having the practical experience. Like I said, you have had an experience of growing up, being raised by a woman at home, and being able to see her find ways of ensuring that the house is in order. And also being a very productive member in the faith community, right? And then we are now being taken into the industry where we are now able to see people that look like our mothers, people that look like our sisters, and they are able to deliver excellent work that makes you even appreciate the people more. So to me, that's why I say I call it a privilege.
It is a privilege because you're able to demystify all these thoughts around that women are cannot capable because you have seen them being capable.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's there.
Yeah. It's crazy. Anyway, I wanted to pick that up because it's very important. I feel like people who tell stories need to always remember that element. What's a woman's contribution in that story? Because you're not on your own. It's always someone is there, and that story is incomplete without a woman. Exactly. Okay, I had stopped you on the university because I wanted to talk more about your family, and then we're gonna go to the school part.
Right, great.
Your family, your family is interesting.
Okay,
because I think you are not the only person who's not popular.
That's the truth. That's the truth.
Probably because you're saying you're 5.
That's the truth.
Because the two,
I think 3. The 3 of us are not popular.
Yeah,
the 2 are the most popular.
The 2 are the most popular.
Yeah.
I think people who have been there in the 2000s and even now would know Emanyozo.
Yes.
There.
Yeah.
And that talks great about a woman's contribution to these young people who have become icons in Malawi.
My mom didn't really sing, my father didn't really sing, but they gave us a collection of music. One thing that you were very assured about the Manyozo family is there's going to be a collection of music and there's going to be a sound system. Those were given.
That's interesting.
Right? So we grew up on music, listening to music.
Yeah.
Any kind of genre you can think about, we're doing music. My mom was buying tapes. That time OG in Blantyre.
Yes.
If there are collections, I mean, I got to listen to a lot of Alan Ngomwe at that particular time. She had a collection. They were Bide Kaunda, all these guys. The moment they release a tape, my mom would find a way of buying that tape. So we had a collection of music.
Yeah.
So we grew up in music. So that's where all this background came in. When my brother was, because many people don't know that my brother has a diploma, I think it's an advanced diploma in business administration, Propi. Yes, he was doing it at MCA. But on the side, he still also liked to do music. And when he decided that he wants to get into music full time, my mama made that decision to support his dream.
Wow.
Right? Which is not something that happens to many people.
It doesn't.
And this is how. Number one, Propi used to wake up around 4 a.m. or 5 a.m. To do his instrumentals. Now, if you have been in a house of a producer, when they start doing sound, there's a lot of noise.
And it disturbs
everybody.
Yeah.
But then my mom made peace with it, we made peace with it. So we knew. That's even how we were able to wake up.
Yeah.
He's doing his stampos and everything and stuff. Secondly, the recordings of the music that he was doing, that time he was recording in his bedroom. So when he's doing a recording of a session, he would ask all of us to keep quiet in the house. So we all kept quiet. We listened. Now here's the beauty. If there is somebody who is whack in the studio, we had something to talk about in the evening.
Oh yeah, that would be interesting. Imagine.
So if somebody was whack in the studio, we would just keep quiet. The moment that person leaves, we're having a discussion about it.
Yeah.
And then we actually saw even his music improving. Then came a time when he wanted to upgrade his gear. My mom processed a loan for him from National Bank.
Wow.
So he got a loan from National Bank, and my mom was working with National Bank, so it was a bit easier for that. He got a loan to buy his gear, he got a loan even to build his studio, all that from that particular money. And then that's when he was able to set up everything. My mom knew most of the musicians that my brother, or even the likes of Danu and all those, knew them personally. She was very interested in them. What do you do? Where is your wife? Who are you dating? And all that kind of particular.
Interesting.
So she was invested even in the lives of the artist.
Of the artist because of the children.
And then I have my elder brother Montfort. Montfort has done now music theory, as in now reading music, he does production and everything and stuff. And people that were at Chancellor College around, I think 2004, 5, and 6, they know him as Monte. He's very good at piano, he's very good at guitar, he plays instruments. Okay. There was, actually when you have time to meet him and see him play piano, you understand what I mean. There's even somebody who wrote that he was a Mozart when he was at Chancellor College and stuff, because he really was. When he was in the grand music, there's a grand piano room at Chancellor College in Great Hall. When he was there and when he was playing, people knew it was him.
Wow.
That's how gifted he was.
Yeah.
And still he is. Now he's teaching music at Malawi University of Science and Technology. Master. I think he does audio engineering and stuff like that.
Wow.
So he does the professional stuff.
Side of music. Yeah.
So he also comes in when it comes to my elder brother and my younger brother, when they're buying equipment. He is the guy that will tell you from a scientific point of view. These are the things that you have to consider and everything and stuff. Yeah. He also taught me how to play piano. I do play piano.
You play piano?
I do. Just that many people don't know. But I do. I play for fun. I play for fun. I enjoy playing it and everything.
I wish I had a piano in here. So we'll do a demonstration.
And that's about it. And then comes now my younger brother, Tricky Beats.
Yeah. Because I met Tricky.
Right.
You see what happened? There was a time I used to be an artist.
Right.
In those days.
Yes, those days. Yes, go on.
I used to be an artist, and I was in Blantyre, so I was meeting. I have a friend called Andy.
Okay.
Andy Mbuduka.
I know Andy.
You know Andy?
I know Andy.
Crazy. So we were together in secondary school.
Right.
We're doing music together at the time. So I went to Blantyre. So it's like, no, when you come to Blantyre, we can do a song or Trigger Beats. We're excited. And I went to your brother, and he played an instrumental for us. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I knew that this guy is a real deal. Unfortunately, I ended up not doing it because at that time there was Danlu who came. So when Danlo was there, he dominated. We were the underdogs.
The underdogs.
So we couldn't record and I was leaving. So I knew him that time because I had traveled to Blantyre to see him. Yeah. So that's when I knew him before you.
Okay.
So let's talk about Tricky.
Makes sense. Trigger Beats, first of all, I think on the record, since this is 2022, Trigger Beats for me, and I think I've said this more than once, is the producer of the year 2021. I've said it on record because I don't know how sometimes in Malawi we decide on who has to be awarded for what.
As long as if there are people that are paying for my text and vote.
Because
it's crazy.
I was arguing that, Nkatimo was one of the tracks that was popular last year.
Yes, and it won.
And it won an award.
Who was the producer?
He was the producer. Bass is a track that won again. He was the producer. Now, how do you have somebody that has two tracks that have won an award?
And it's not the producer of the year.
Doesn't make sense. Neither is he nominated. It doesn't
make sense. How?
But anyway, it's Malawi. So anyway. So with him as well, again, he did his secondary school admission review. And Tricky is one guy that learned a lot from Propi.
Yeah, he had the big brother around.
Right, so he had the big brother around. And Tricky has done a lot of things. He's good at dancing. He used to dance quite a lot.
Yeah.
And then, I don't even know how he switched from dancing to music. But anyway, somehow I think the two are linked.
So interesting.
He started working.
A dancer.
Yeah.
Interesting.
He started paying attention to what Propi was doing at that particular time. So when people came in our house, so there are like these two rooms now. Propi is doing his beats thing. Trick is working on his craft and everything. And then there was a time, I think, if I'm not mistaken, Danlu came. So Propi has played his instrumentals this side. Trick has played his instrumentals on the other side. Danlu was passing by. He hears a mentor on the other side. He's like, no, I'm interested. I want to hear. Who is this guy?
Serious?
So that's how he met Tricky. So they started now listening. They're like, okay, my guy, what do you have? So he played, because he was just doing instrumentals and keeping them.
Yeah.
So he ended up now being a business where you would come either to get an instrumental from a person to do recording of vocals from Tricky or the other way. So you're still having now a one-stop shop in a way.
Yeah.
And then, of course, later on, Bese took a break because he started now doing a lot of commercial work. So,
I think when Pesce took a break, that's when Tricky was...
Right, yeah. And another thing, the reason why, of course, he took a break was because, unfortunately, music does not really pay the bills.
No, I had a guest here. Based who said it plain. He said, music in Malawi doesn't pay. Let's just say the truth. People get money through other means, and not through music. You can't say that I'm a musician full time and I make money out there. You might, So it's crazy. Maybe it's because of the economy, but yeah.
So it was that, and then Also, in terms of integrity of artists, in terms of paying. I mean, he has had experiences with people, I don't want to mention names. They'll come do a recording of an entire album and they're still chasing them up until
I know about that story.
Right.
I know about that story. And it's funny that most of those people that he had helped and had done him that kind of wrong thing, they were promoted by him.
Exactly.
There were nobodies without his production.
Exactly.
So but later on, I know about the story.
So there are all those where you have this particular person who is investing. Now, what Pese was doing was, which is different from what my brother Trigger does. Pese was taking also like a manager on this particular artist. So he does a recording of you. He starts working on his connections at Radio True. Radio. So to ensure that your content is also going on the radio, if there are certain shows, he started making links and everything. So there are people that he literally exposed in the industry, and then eventually it ended up and stuff. There were even times when, as a family, I would even intervene. I think that guy has to pay us. It's our money. But
that was interesting.
But it really never really happened. So he had to decide that I think for the sake of my family and also the bills that I have, let me go commercial. He didn't really stop doing music, but he just started.
But he knew where the value was.
Where I pay my bills, so that when I'm able to pay my bills from here, and then the other time, then I can dedicate so that I have a bit of balance for life.
Yeah. So two guys who are popular.
Right.
Oh, something is falling down. That's okay.
Yeah.
But two guys who are popular in your family. You have never done music. But you have dreadlocks, so it would be an easy story for you to jump in the studio and just drop some reggae vibes.
No.
What happened?
I think for me, I just decided that I just don't want to take the music route. And for people that have met me and then they start to get to hear that I'm related to my siblings, maybe surprised.
Yeah.
Because they feel like I'm different from my siblings.
You are. I mean, tricky, but
it's just how we were raised in our family. We were raised as unique human beings.
Yes, who can explore and live the life that they decide.
Exactly. So I decided to take this particular route. My siblings decided that they're going to get into music. Trigger Beats was not forced into music. He saw what he liked from what Propi was doing.
Yeah.
He jumped into it. Monte he did music studies. Nobody was studying music and everything. My sister is into baking and everything. And actually my sister is a very good cook when it comes to she's doing now selling cakes and all the trust.
What's her brand? We can promote her.
She's good. I'll send you the details.
Yeah.
But basically she's really good at it. So you can see you have one who is doing baking and everything. She worked some time back, but she decided I think the best thing that I can do for me is to be self-employed and do this particular thing. My brother is working with Mast, Propi and Trigger Beats, they are entrepreneurs. I'm employed consultant. You see what I mean?
Academician.
So we're just like all over the place, but still we are one family. That's the beauty.
It's really interesting.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's talk now about the academics.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because your story cannot be complete without education. You have been an advocate of education. You have a non-profit with your wife. Where you support young people who are struggling with school fees.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know if that is part of your story. So let's talk about your university life.
Okay.
What happened and what inspired you and where are you now?
All right. I think I'll start first of all. I believe strongly that education is a way out of many people.
Okay.
I believe that people that have some sort of an education, they begin to have choices in their life. People that have an education are able to get out of an abusive relationship.
Yeah.
People that have an education, even in family meetings, people that are not educated are not really given. I mean, facts. The most educated in the family,
as they say.
As they say, somehow.
Yeah.
So
it's crazy.
that is one of the reasons why I push for education. Now, getting to my education, yes, I stopped at the fact that I've now applied to the University of Malawi, and I've not really been picked. And it really hurt big time. And because I remember the experience, because we had gone, 4 of us, because as a group we were 4. It was Chibabaham, Shari, Dominic Bloombe, and Geoffrey Machunji and myself. And we had a small team of, we were doing some sort of competition among ourselves. So we got decent grades. And then...
18?
So after we did the application, that time there was a university entrance examination. So we all went, start for the UEE. And then the results were being announced by Zodiac, as usual. So I remember I was with, that time, Geoffrey Machunji, we were together and we had a radio. I was not home. I was listening to the names and I was very certain that I'll go to Chancellor College. So when the time for Chancellor College came, and they started announcing the names, I was paying attention. I started listening to the programs that I'd applied for, my name was not mentioned. Then I went to programs that I'd not applied for, my name was not mentioned. Yeah. And then it was beginning to sink that there is a possibility that I'm not going to college.
It's not happening.
And for me,
it's not coming home.
It's not coming home. And for me, college was not just a place where I get an education. It was an introduction to a new life altogether for me. That's what college meant for me. I know for others it meant getting a degree. I didn't even know that you get a degree in college, but I just knew that if you're a college graduate, your life is different from somebody who's not a college graduate at that particular time. So then Polytechnic came, my name was not mentioned. I started listening to Munda. I didn't even apply to Munda. But
maybe
maybe a miracle happened. So they finished and then my name was not mentioned. My friend's name was also not mentioned. Dominic's name was mentioned at the Polytechnic. Shiba's name was also not mentioned. It was difficult for me to walk home. Because I knew that they were also listening. I knew that nobody really wants to talk to me, but they still have to talk to me. Because, trust me, in as much as I was excited about the possibility, but my mom was very excited, just like anybody else, the prospect that we are going to college. And I don't know about where you guys grew up, but in my neighborhood, everybody knew who sat for UEE. Because when MSCE came, they were able to discuss. It was soon a course. So within the neighborhood also, there was an expectation that within this neighborhood, we are sending this number
to the university.
So it was not just a conversation I'm going to have with my mom and my siblings.
It's going to be a community.
It's a community conversation. That even when I get out to buy groceries, somehow
someone will ask me that.
What is it? You know, it looks like it's a simple experience. It's not.
It's not.
So
in Malawi, we live in a community.
We live in a community.
It's not just about you. It's about everyone else who knows you. You know your mom, who knows somebody.
You see?
So
having a walk of shame, because that's what I call it. Having a walk of shame
in a community.
It's demoralizing. It's even depressing. You know? And I guess something maybe is being done now to support such kind of young people. Because, like I said, I didn't fail. I got 18 points.
You didn't fail.
You know,
only the competition was
high, and the spaces were limited. It's different from somebody who failed completely. Anyway, so I arrived at home, and by that time I already started doing an IT course with digital systems. And again, also, people at school, they knew that I'd applied for Chanko, and there was a whole thing of right? So when I go to school also, there's going to be a conversation around, you know. I arrived home, nobody said a thing. That was a good thing. It was quiet. Just walked in my living room, said hi to people, and then went to my room. I could actually see the environment. It's just not right. And I knew that my mom was crushed, like really big time. But she's more concerned about me than had been crashed. So I went to sleep very early, woke up in the morning, and I'd had time. I wasn't really sleeping. I'd had time to process, calculate. I was like, okay, University of Malawi has not worked. I'm doing a diploma in IT. My grades are already great. I think this is a thing that I'll do. So when I woke up in the morning, I told myself, you might not have allowed me to go to the university, but I'm going to nail this IT thing. And I had anger projected towards this particular course.
You want to pass in a way that the whole community knows. No way to know.
This guy.
The door was not going to vote.
So in the morning, when I was leaving to go to school, because my mom used to give me money every day to go to school, I just asked her one question. If I continue with this particular course, are you going to pay for school fees for all these fees that she said yes? I was just like, okay, that's fine. That is the only question I asked. I went to school, had a discussion with people, and then that term, my grades started improving significantly.
Yeah.
To the point where one of the lecturers called me, but I say, we are going to be. I'm like, I said, I have no other option.
This is the only one.
This is it. This is what I am doing now.
I hear you.
You know, I had an option of saying, okay, I'm like, no. So I was doing programming. I love programming. I still love programming. Coding and everything. So my grades started getting up into 90s and everything. Then Barrow Enter program came. So when the Barrow Enter program came, they advertised. I think Paul advertised because I think they're done separately. Paul advertised, Bund advertised, and all these other colleges. And my brother told me that you have to apply for Chanko. I wasn't really in the mood. Because the way it was told to me, it was as if you are a second-class citizen in college, and also that there's no one, there's a bad. Like they're different types. Degree again, they are known, right? And then one thing that helped me was my brother told me to go and apply because you had to leave the forms in Zomba. So I had to travel to Zomba. And I stayed at Chancellor College for about a week on campus. So
to get the torture.
So the experience I had, the life, we're going to the cave to get food, and I was really integrated into the college and everything. I attended, watched football games, and so I was like, okay, I think this is life, right? So when I was making the application, I kind of had a bit of perspective. I wish people had time to also have that particular kind of experience.
Do you know that's one of the things that I think defeats most of the young people that are in the rural communities?
Right.
They don't have the exposure to know how great it is to be there.
Exactly.
In a way that now they can up their game.
Exactly.
Or they can make the right choice depending on what is there. Yeah, and that's why I applaud what you do. I know we're going to talk about my program. But that's the way to go, specifically to encourage young people to have a perspective of what it means to be there.
Exactly. And I was like, no, this is where I'm going to be. So I made the submission. When there was Polytechnic, I was told to make a submission. I told people, I'm submitting this, but I want to go to China. It's as simple as that. What I saw, the experience I had, I want to.
I want to go there.
So fast forward, I ended up getting a place at Chancellor College. And by the time I was getting a place, I was working on my project also at my IT. So my IT, I have a diploma actually in business information systems. And I'm great at IT. Straightforward. Not many people know about it actually.
It's a silent part of it. It's a very silent area.
But it feeds into everything that I do. Which is why when I'm given an assignment that has to do with tech and IT, I'm easily able to handle it because I already have
that background. Sometimes I think like IT has to be the basics for everyone.
It just has to be.
Because the future is more tech than what people think.
So then I got into Chancellor College. The week I go to Chanko, the results of Polytechnic came out and I was selected for technical education. I didn't know what that course was, neither did I really want to go to Polytechnic.
As a course major, people hated it. Ted.
Ted. But now, in retrospect, if I knew,
you would have gone to Ted.
I would have gone for Ted.
I'm telling you, Inesta, sometimes I think about it. I have always despised that course, but if I had known,
I would have gone for Ted.
There's money there.
Oh, there's a lot of money.
That's TVETA for you. That's a TVETA vocational skills.
But
whatever.
the way it was sold to me, it didn't.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's the problem with how some of these things are sold and how they are presented. That's why exposure
is very important. So anyway, so then at Chancellor College, I was there. I did my 4 years. I was in the member of the Students' Union. I actually campaigned and stuff.
You did?
Yeah, I did.
In which position were you?
I did Director of Publications and publicity. So it was we campaigned.
Vote for Manyozo.
Vote for Manyozo and all that kind of stuff.
You have a free beat from today.
It was fun. And then from there, I think I graduated in 2011. In fact, I think we were the last guys that received a speech from Bingo, because I think the next one is when he passed away.
You graduated in 2011?
I graduated in 2011. I finished in 2010.
2011, that's when I was starting my first year. We'll talk about that next time. In 2010, I was at Chanko.
Physics
department.
Yes.
Yeah. I don't know, it's funny. Let's
likely we might have passed each other in the corridors and stuff. Anyway, so yeah.
But you see, when you were a full student, like a normal student, a generic student,
right.
You were the first class. In parallel, you are a second season.
And then there were
the physics.
True.
You're just a nobody.
It was like I'm considering physics. I don't even know why we do that. It's like the skills you get there.
The segregation that is in the university because of people that are doing diplomas, continuing studies, is just huge.
I'm telling you.
But when you come out here, that's when you see the reality.
Exactly.
The guys that were doing Timakosi Dija, Utamangisa, those are the guys that you're going to call.
Kwambi. And they are pushing. Anyway, so I left 2011, went back home to Blantyre. And I started doing my job application. Now, this is the thing. I didn't know how to apply for a job. Fact. I just asked my brother.
Most of the people don't.
Right. Most of the people don't.
If you ask people to send you their CVs, the application, you know.
Even some that I've worked for 10 years, they don't. Trust me. So I just asked my brother, can you send me your CV? Send me a CV. Cover letter. That was it. So that was one that was just adapting and everything. And I wasn't really getting called. Second thing, I didn't know that I was supposed to be applying for jobs that kind of relate to the qualifications that I had.
You're just throwing everywhere.
So as long as there's a vacancy in the newspaper, I was applying. So I applied for engineering jobs, I applied for law jobs, with the hope that somehow I might get picked. I was not.
Yeah.
There was a day I applied for a communication related job, and then I was waiting to be called. Funny thing happened. I was home all the time with my phone. This day, I forgot my phone in my mom's car. That is the time they decided to call. And it came in the evening. I found, I think it was 4 missed calls, if not 5. Calling, it's around 5. They are probably knocked off. I called the next day. Where is this? They told me it was a company. I just knew this is a job. I asked them, they're like, no, I'm sorry, but they have proceeded. I was down.
That first call.
I was down. Because I knew that this was a possibility for me to get a job.
Yeah.
Now, being frustrated, I decided I'm going to take a break. That's how I came with Lilongwe.
That's the story.
I decided that I'm going to take a break. So I left home, told my mom I'm going to see my brother in Lilongwe who was here. Took a holiday, I arrived here. Again, I didn't even know Lilongwe. I think it was my second time coming. Because the first time I came was in 2000, basically to have a meeting with my father's family, because we haven't really had a very good relationship. So when I came, he just told me, you know what, when you get a bus, drop at the bus stop, get out of the bus stop, look for an area 25 or an area 18 bus, get on it and tell them to drop Bauchi, Bakra's house. I didn't know Glass House. I didn't know the bus stop. And from Blantyre, I've been hearing stories of serious pickpocketers. So I was scared, literally, from the stories that I've heard.
Still there, the stores are still there.
They're still there. So I dropped in the bus, I started hunting for minibus here 18. I think I ended up getting here 18, if not at 25. That was when I told the minibus driver, my guy, I'll drop my Glass House. And I kept on reminding them. The guy is like, no, don't
like they're gonna forget.
Yeah. And then when we arrived at the Glass House, I could actually see it. They're like, so this is the place. I dropped, I found my brother there. Hey, the relief, my guy. Because it was at night.
Yeah.
And it's a bit dark outside. Yeah. I arrived, and then what does he tell me? He tells me, I was telling my boss about you. And he says he wants to meet you because I think there's an internship opportunity.
Okay.
That's how I started my work in Lilongwe.
So where was your first place to intern?
I interned at
Chimwemwe.
Yeah.
So
I interned at Chimwemwe. That time, it was not even set up the way it is set up now. They were really starting from scratch.
So it was a project, I imagine.
It was a project that was migrating to an organization. Yeah. So that time the guy was the country director of Plan, and he was trying to get as many young people as possible to intern at Chimwemwe to also help it grow. To build it, so I don't know what my brother told this guy, but somehow he liked what he heard. He said, I think this is the right guy. And also with my media qualifications, background, I think this is the guy that should be running that particular place. So I went there to check it out. I liked it. Then I started. Then I had to tell people in Blantyre, can you please pack the other things?
I'm a young guy
and send them here. Yeah. And then it also so happened that my sister also ended up getting an opportunity. So when she was coming, she came with the other staff. So it was my brother, my sister, and myself living in a big queue in area 14. So let me explain this big queue for you to understand. It's not a big queue.
Three guys, that way you were
okay, so there were two rooms. So there was one room, and then and then to the left there's a toilet, and then there's this open space that worked like a kitchen of some sort. Yeah. So since my brother and I were male, we decided we're going to be using this other room. My sister's going to take this one. There was a couch, very hardwood couch. That is where I was sleeping. My brother was taking the mattress. My sister was sleeping there. So it was basically after since I'm to work, come home and sleep on a couch. That is not really the most comfortable. I was not being paid, by the way, with the internship.
It was the internship.
It was the internship.
The real
internship. I was getting packed meals. From home. Since my sister is here, internship. And then there was a car from Plan. Once you miss that car, you're finished. Because our office was in area 43. Area 43, one car.
It's far.
It's far. Even Kabaza was expensive because somewhere around Kukaloj, that side. So it's really far. So I did my internship for the first 3 months, and I was doing IT and also video editing and graphics. So I've also done video editing.
Oh, you've done graphics.
I've done graphics. I've done.
Yeah, you do your graphics. Yeah, you do your graphics.
I've done
videos.
I've done videos. For those that were available when the Christ Embassy was doing Day of Bliss, I did all the videos for Day of Bliss, the editing. All of them, shooting and editing and stuff. I did it. I think it was one of the senior Christ Embassy guys came to Malawi. The reason I stopped doing video editing is because it's hectic. I just don't like spending a lot of time working on editing videos and doing my stuff.
Cutting stuff and stuff.
But I have the skill set. I've been doing it.
You have a badge. You have a badge. I'm telling you.
Yeah. So that is also what makes me an asset in the communications field, because when I'm talking to people, I kind of have an idea about
everything.
Yeah. Then from there, I was offered a contract for 3 months. I hated the contract. The thing was, I had been in that organization working for free, and I felt like I've proven myself within the time I was doing the internship. And then when they said we're going to give you a contract, for me it felt like I'm getting this job. And also another thing that I haven't told many people is the time that I was doing this internship, an opportunity did open up at Plan International for a communications officer. When I was about to go for that interview, I was told that no, you're not supposed to go for this interview because we want you to be at Chimwemwe.
Hey.
So we want you to find us a friend of yours who has the very same skill set as you, who has to interview for this particular position. So I had to talk to one of my friends who ended up going for the interview. And then I stayed for this internship, finished, and then you give me a 3-month contract. And I'm like, there is a full-time position
that you guys say
no to.
You want me to be here,
exactly.
As if there was a good offer coming.
Exactly.
That's
so
crazy.
it was basically giving me hope and then not meeting on the other side.
Yeah.
So I said, okay, fine. So I got the contract, 3 months. I was doing, like I said, I was doing IT, video editing. So I was doing a lot of work, but the money that I was getting was not really good.
Yeah.
Then Zodiac advertised. That is when I decided, you know what? I think let me go to Zodiac.
Yeah.
So I applied for Zodiac, got a job. I know we're talking about education, but all these things are linked. That's why I'm going this particular direction.
Yeah.
Yeah. So from there at Zodiac, I worked for 3 years. But whilst at Zodiac, I already started having the hunger to do a master's. Again, I'd learned that I think in this industry, if you want to thrive really, really well, you need to have the extra papers.
It is true.
It's just a fact. So I started applying for scholarships. I was not really getting any. I applied for warden. I was doing public health. I did for 1 semester. I even have the books at home. I passed the subjects really well, but I didn't really have the money to continue. So I stopped.
Wow. You've done that, eh?
Yeah. So I stopped.
You've been there.
I was like, you know what? I've done this semester, but I don't think I can do the other semesters.
Yeah.
So I stopped. It was really frustrating. Then from Zodiac, then I joined the Human Rights Commission. So when I was joining the Human Rights Commission, again, in my mind, I had the fact that I think this is a place also that I'm really going to grow with my academics.
Because I'll give Wakama scholarship and you're going to get something.
Right. So I started also doing my applications and everything whilst I was there. And this is where now I got the Chimwemwe scholarship. And this is where now I started now doing my master's. So if the reason why I was going the working route is because for you to get a Chimwemwe scholarship, they need you to have 2 years of working experience. Yeah. So I already accumulated that working experience for more than 2 years. Secondly, the time that I was working, I was also growing in my understanding of things as a person. I was sharpening my writing skills. Joab was my boss, and he had a master's.
Joab
he had the first, he had the first master's because he has 2 master's degrees.
Okay.
Yeah, he had the first master's that he did with MIM through Bolton University. Yeah. So one thing also I learned a lot from Joab was you were able to see the value of that master's in him.
That is transforming.
Yeah. So for me, that's one thing that I appreciate God for, that when I see people that are inspiring, I don't hate them. I like them. I want to get close to them. I want to learn from this, you know. And that also gave me the hang of, you also look at Chimwemwe masters. You don't just shelve, you know. I think you can also get this. So when I was going to the Human Rights Commission, it had already hunger has already started in me when it comes to this particular application. And secondly, also before I even talk about getting the Chimwemwe scholarship, I also had people within that I would say, you know, maybe a reference later, and they were ready to do that. Or people that I would be asking questions, okay, this is particular scholarship, what is it about? And they were able to share that information. Again, Human Rights Commission was one of the organizations at that time that the majority of the people that were there had a master's.
Yeah, I know the government, most of the people we find them with a master's degrees.
So, we are Australia, we are UK, our Zimbabwe. So, it even also starts to
sink in your
I really need to start.
I need to do this.
And to be doing this and everything. You know, so that's when now I got the Chimwemwe scholarship, I go to the UK, started for a master's, came back. In the UK, my guy,